Good Friday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with a tornado emergency. Believe it or not, for parts of northern Arkansas here, just a severe thunderstorm watch in play, and the parameters didn't look all that impressive, but the radar cover didn't great out here, and there's been confirmed reports here of a wedge tornado on the ground here in northern Arkansas, and tornado emergency is in effect here from the office in Little Rock until about 8 o'clock Central Time for Hardy, Highland, and Williford here as we're looking toward the natural state. This tornado warning in general goes for parts of Randolph, Izard, Fulton, Lawrence, and Sharp counties. Particularly dangerous situation. The Weather Service says this could be a deadly tornado, and KEIT-TV, a viewer there reporting in, it looks like toward Cherokee Village that a front of a home is gone, cars have been crushed, and softball-sized hails also fallen here in the area. So not what you want to hear. We've had confirmation of 4-inch size hail off toward the north and west. Again, we were not really expecting much in the way of tornadic weather. Maybe some hail, maybe some wind out here. As threats went up a little, but it's just a slight standard risk from the Weather Service. Generally not something we'd come on for, but this is now what the Weather Service in Little Rock here on a Friday night, where people really aren't wanting to pay attention to the weather, is calling a tornado emergency here for areas of northern Arkansas toward the communities of Hardy, Highland, and Williford, Randolph, Izard, Fulton, Lawrence, and Sharp counties. As we're getting that report just to kind of come through here on the wire. Let me take off the clock again. I know I just don't want to confuse anybody. It's really a confusing situation though overall, because many people probably weren't expecting this type of threat here to materialize. This was not supposed to be a big event here toward northern Arkansas tonight. This is the only tornado warning, and it's a tornado emergency here in play right now as we're looking toward northern parts of Arkansas. There's the velocity, and we're having to look way high up. Apparently there's an issue with the Springfield radar. There was a moment ago. It looks like it's back up again, but there was some type of issue with that data being delayed up there in the Memphis, and looks like the Little Rock radars are about equidistant now between the circulation here. So we're talking the circulation's equidistant between them, I guess you could say. But as we got, it looks like a new tornado emergency now. So this is now turning a little bit further down toward the south, maybe. This is now a tornado emergency, and I'm going to try to pronounce these communities. A new tornado emergency for Embolden, Blackrock, and Walnut Ridge, a particularly dangerous situation where we could have a deadly tornado on the ground. We also have the communities here. Again, this is in northern Arkansas. If you're wondering where we are, we don't come on for run-of-the-mill tornado warnings out here unless there's just a high risk or something like that. We do come on though when it's a threat like this, when there's catastrophic damage possible. The warning includes Pocahontas here as well. You heard those communities under the tornado emergency. The new one, Embolden, Blackrock, and Walnut Ridge here, a particularly dangerous situation up here right now. And the other tornado emergency continuing there for Hardy, Highland, and Williford. So now 2 tornado emergencies on this storm, and they're now reporting out of Cherokee Village of the hail there. We're talking about softball size, about 4.25 inches in diameter. They're just kind of correlating that here to the official scale of what the nomenclature does and how that matches up with the actual numbers. You can see the very black reflectivity showing on up here right now. I know we're really having to look high up on the radar. Let's see if the other alert that we got, if the Memphis radar goes closer, it is going to take us to that now. So let's pop this on. Again, the very poor radar coverage in this area, but we have to just go off what the reports are saying. We, in this situation, just don't know exactly how bad things are here, but based on the limited information we have between radar and then those reports of a wedge tornado and a house, part of it gone, we just have to assume here there is a deadly type tornado on the ground, one of those more significant tornadoes. That's what the Weather Service in Little Rock's having to do right now, where there's potentially catastrophic damage here in the natural state right now occurring. A tornado emergency. Now let's see if that's a debris signature. That's a Memphis radar. It's not showing a circulation good. So let's go back to the Little Rock radar. We'll go back over there now, go back to that viewpoint and go back out, and then come back in once again here. This shows at least to spin a little bit better here. I try to give you guys a pinpoint on this here. We're looking north of Smithfield. It looks like it may be south of Williford, but there's a tornado emergency. And this is just, I mean, we're looking 10,000 feet up here, folks. And again, it had already been off toward the north and west. Reports of It looks like cars destroyed there, front of homes damaged in Cherokee Village. So this is moving off toward the east, but it has a little southerly component here. So I just have to be kind of cognizant of that. Odd movement here, odd situation altogether. The parameters aren't all that favorable. So hopefully this isn't as potent of a tornado down to the surface as the hail has been here and what some of the information does suggest. But when the Weather Service uses that catastrophic tag, we have to be taking the situation seriously here. Let me go back on over to our other product right now. You can see the significant tornado parameters here aren't all that impressive, only about a 1 in here, and you can see the energy values aren't even showing up here. So hopefully this is a situation that isn't as significant as right now it's being warned for and what the reports are suggesting here. But we just don't know. The hail, I mean, that's already indicative there of a supercell or thunderstorm, dangerous situation on our hands right now. So we have to be very careful what's going on here. You see the tide rotation in this area, really getting tighter now, maybe as we're getting a better view on it potentially. So again, an unusual situation. So if you're wondering where we're at right now, we're just south of Missouri, just south of the Heartland per se, if you want to call it that, where the Cape Girardeau TV station's covered. That's where we have to have a thunderstorm warning in play for Ripley County right now. That storm has some hail and some wind potential, but this is toward the Jonesboro television market there. It's Region 8 is what people call it in toward this region here of the country. As they've now gone ahead and issued a tornado watch, I guess it's just making them too concerned at the Storm Prediction Center now there in Norman, and they've had to issue a tornado watch until it looks like about midnight Central Time. So that'll be popping up on the screen at any moment now. That just coming down from the Storm Prediction Center here in Norman, that area that you see off toward the west near Oklahoma City. That's where they issue them out of. Then here's where our tornado emergency, 2 of them now. We had a new one issued since we came on the air. Again, this was not really anticipated. You didn't really miss anything. Like when we didn't even really talk about this area last night because it was supposed to be just a standard severe risk kind of coming on down. We would have some of that. We still have a little bit of chance here tomorrow, so we'll watch, but toward North Florida, South Georgia, but it's not supposed to be for a tornado risk. So this here was a low 2% risk. It got up to a 5% risk earlier, but getting more reports in now. As you see the new tornado watch coming on out here toward Memphis and Little Rock now until about midnight Central Time. Tornado is being reported on the ground here in just the last few moments between the Smithville and Embolden communities. So again, trying to work through this the best we can here with tornado emergencies coming out. I know this is going to be an odd look here when we punch up the tornado risk and kind of position that. I mean, you do not see a tornado watch very often in a 2% risk here. Some of this tornado watch isn't even in a tornado risk here. This is a situation that kind of evolved here with this storm, this potent storm that has had a history of damage, both in the way of being hail damage and it looks like, at least based on the reports, tornado damage. And there was a visual apparently of a wedge tornado. So again, a very dangerous situation, folks. This is again not something we were really anticipating. Just a standard slight risk here. But sometimes things can catch you off guard here in the weather enterprise, and hopefully people have had that way of getting alerts even at a time where there's just a thunderstorm watch in play. You can have damage, you can have dangerous conditions, but it's very rare to get a tornado emergency within a thunderstorm watch, and we've seen 2 of them issued here in the last few moments now, with the tornado watch being issued here just in the last few moments in addition to that thunderstorm watch. So again, trying to work through this here. You see the hail reports off toward the north and west. You see the temperature contrast toward the north here. Again, there's hardly anything we can really show you on the radar because the distance is just so far away from things, but we're going to try to work through this right now. Let me get back on over here. This is really tight rotation, it seems, but we're at 10,000 feet, so I really don't know what's reaching the ground, to be quite honest. It's just the radars aren't in the best position for this storm whatsoever, and just kind of having to guess here on exactly what's happening. But when you have all that black and the reflectivity, that's indicative of a very large hail, a very, very dangerous storm in and of itself here. And then again, we've had reports of a wedge tornado, and the Weather Service says there could be some catastrophic damage occurring here because of this storm. So again, a tornado emergency. It's really a serious situation. I mean, people on a Friday night, it's Easter weekend. This is dangerous, especially after all the severe weather threats we've had here to kind of have this one with this rogue storm here materialize into a life-threatening situation. It's very disheartening, to be quite honest, here as we're looking toward northern Arkansas right now. As we go ahead and see here again what's going on, we'll try to zoom in here the best we can. Maybe the tornado's near State Road 115 there right now, but it's not a certainty. Now, as we go to debris tracker, there may be debris in here, but again, it looks like there could be, and that'd be indicative of a strong tornado, but it's not something I can guarantee at this point because the hail would still up into this height. It's going to be hard to distinguish because this is a potent storm, and with the reports that are coming in, really need folks to take this seriously there. Again, tornado emergency off toward the north and west here, continuing there as we're looking towards some of these different communities, like Embolden, Blackrock there, and Walnut Ridge. So I know we're getting all sorts of information in. It gets a little confusing at times, but a tornado emergency for Embolden, Blackrock, and Walnut Ridge here with the latest update right now coming on in. So Embolden, Blackrock, and Walnut Ridge under a tornado emergency as this situation does transpire here. Kind of zoom back on in. This is moved past Williford there at this point. We can confirm that here. That's what we initially had one of these warnings issued for, the area there around Williford, but this is now kind of moved past them, which is obviously some good news for that community. The tornado emergency also was there for areas there around, it looks like, as I kind of just read over this here. This was also for Highland and Hardy there in northern Arkansas. Now, trying to get them to show up here. They may be on here, honestly, not familiar with this area much at all, but trying to give you guys this national perspective here. This is really tight circulation at the higher levels here, as this is moving there. It looks like toward areas there in Lawrence County, Arkansas. So giving you guys perspective there right now. Circulation, I'll leave my mouse on the screen real quick to try to show you guys this. Circulation will be right in there, right in here, as we're in Lawrence County, Arkansas right now with this threat. The tornado will be down here, and your biggest hail threat would be up more toward the community of Embolden. Very, very large, giant hail probably falling out of the sky right there around Embolden, probably around 4 inches or so in diameter. So again, a rogue storm, a very unusual situation. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a situation we had years ago. Going back, there was only a 2% tornado risk. It was actually before a big threat. This is kind of after a big threat we've had. But going back years ago toward the Atlanta tornado there that hit the Georgia Dome during that basketball game, I believe that was a Friday night, and it was not much of a tornado risk. We had a rogue storm involved there. Just trying to kind of jog my memory on that, and that kind of is reminiscent of that a little bit, to have a tornado emergency like this and such a low tornado risk overall. But again, we have a very dangerous situation on our hands right now. Aloft, at least, we're seeing winds 75 one way, and then the other way about 67, which would be indicative of winds closer to 150 miles an hour toward the surface. But it's hard to really say what's going on. But we just had another beep, and that's indicative of a spotter reporting a tornado on the ground near, it looks like Ravenden, the community of Ravenden here in northern Arkansas. So again, a dangerous night here in the natural state. A tornado emergency still in play here as we're looking Embolden, Blackrock, and Walnut Ridge. This could be a matter of life and death that we're not sure because the radar coverage is very spotty here. But they've even issued a special weather statement. This is very rare as well. Special weather statement's been issued to kind of alert people toward the east because this is such an unexpected situation, to be quite honest. They've issued a special weather statement here in this I guess you could call it brownest outlined area here to kind of give them a heads up that a new tornado warning or maybe even a tornado emergency will need to be issued for areas closer toward Paragould, Arkansas there, Jonesboro, maybe just to the north of there, the threat could be maximized. So other areas in this kind of looking here, we have the community of Lake City, Arkansas, Leachville there, Cardwell, and this does clip a little bit of the Boot Hill, Missouri even. So a very interesting situation, and not in a good way. That we did just get a report in of hail in Bolden there. It's lower than I thought it would be, and hopefully it doesn't get higher than this. There could just be hail at the front edge, a little bit lower than what you'll get here as we go further along in the night. But 1.75 inches golf ball size hail reported in the community of Bolden, Arkansas here. Hopefully it's not going to get bigger. If that's the case, it might be a weaker storm here, but we don't know. Again, there's a lot of things we don't know right now. The environment wasn't necessarily conducive for this type of action here. But you just always have to expect the unexpected in the weather world. That's an old saying. That's what you have to do, and that's what we're dealing with right now here tonight. A dangerous night here in northeastern Arkansas at this point as we continue to track things a little bit further over in a natural state. So, again, just trying to give you guys your bearings here. There's Jonesboro right down here. I know KITTV is a station there that many people watch in toward this market. And I know many people are probably watching that coverage right now. I mean, not necessarily something you're expecting, but a situation that has to be taken very seriously here as we're looking toward this region. As a tornado on the ground west of Blackrock on Lawrence Highway 210 as a 7:58 Central Time there. So dangerous night here. Real quick, gonna just mention, I'm gonna take off the safety tips just for a moment. I do want to just kind of mention this information came out today out of Georgia. Nothing to do with Georgia, what we're looking at right now, except the fact that we actually had a storm there. That storm we were tracking about a week and a half ago west of Savannah was upgraded to an EF4. Didn't have a tornado emergency. My point there is, I mean, a storm here could be weaker or stronger, tornado emergency, just to kind of get people into shelter. But it doesn't necessarily determine the ultimate strength of the tornado down to the surface. Is just kind of a way to alert people that the highest level of tornado danger is there right now, based on the reports and the indications coming in to the Weather Service office there in Little Rock. So again, looking back right now though at this storm, a very strong rotation closer toward Blackrock, and you are in Blackrock under a tornado emergency. Walnut Ridges as well here. There's Blackrock, there's Walnut Ridge. This could be, hopefully it's not, but this could be a matter of life and death here that we're dealing with on a Friday night on Easter weekend here in the state of Arkansas as we continue to track things right now. So let me go ahead and zoom on out. We'll go ahead and zoom on out here right now on our other viewpoint. Let me show you this here so you guys see what we're talking about. You see cool air to the north, warmer air toward the south in general here. And this is a report from a ham radio operator. Now, I'm not sure if they mean there's two circulations here. That's what it seems like. But they're saying that Blackrock police just spotted a second tornado behind the first one. So we may have two tornadoes on the ground now. Don't know that for sure. The radar cover didn't really good enough for me to try to pick out the separate circulations if there are two of them. But again, you see here, as they're still calling this a tornado emergency where catastrophic damage is possible. We've got a new update. I'll read that to you in a second. But you see we only have two thunderstorm warnings in addition to the tornado emergency. And you see the two watches, pink is a thunderstorm watch until here it looks like about 10 p.m. Central Time. And then the tornado watch is until about midnight Central Time there for southwest Tennessee, far southeast Missouri, and central and northeast Arkansas. So again, looking at things right now, let's get back on in here as we get in tight. You'll be able to see what we're talking about here in this area. The latest statement from the Weather Service, tornado emergency continues for Blackrock and Walnut Ridge here, a potentially deadly tornado on the ground here in this area in northeastern Arkansas. Again, really need people in shelter here. Really need people to take this seriously here on this Friday night. Again, trying to get the latest information in. I'm going to take a quick 2.5-minute break here, folks. We're going to continue this coverage on all the different platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, as we're trying to look out for your friends here, your family that could be in this area. They really need to be warned about this potential situation that's so serious. Back with you now. It's 8:05 there Central Time. Trying to get new details, and Weather Service just talking about this here in the chat session that there might be 2 tornadoes on the ground there in Blackrock. That is a very unusual situation to be dealing with here. I'm thinking back, and hopefully it isn't to this level, but I know there was a situation in Nebraska many years ago. When I say many, about 10 or so maybe, we had twin tornadoes on the ground there. So just a very serious situation that we're dealing with. Looks like we got a new tornado emergency just coming down ahead, and necessarily come through in the chat yet, but a new tornado emergency now for Fontaine and Bono. The communities of Fontaine and Bono now under a tornado emergency, as a warning is also in play in general for southwestern Greene and northern Craighead counties here in Arkansas. So if you have friends and family in this area, share this video or just let them know that there's danger in their vicinity here at this point. This was not expected. This is not something that was really talked about very much ahead of time. This was not an event that was expected to be something like this, but for this area that we're dealing with it in, it's a situation that is serious, and that's actually the Memphis office I see. So let me pull up their chat now. We have transitioned toward the Memphis office issue, and that, so that's why I didn't come through in the chat, because we're now on CWA borders here. So let me go ahead and pop up their chat room now. They'll be giving us some information as this moves out of the Little Rock area and into the Memphis area, as we had that catastrophic damage potential there with the destructive tornado observed over Blackrock, moving southeast at 50 miles an hour. So let's see. I have my GR2 analyst computer. We're going to pull that on in here in just a second as we try to get everybody through this unexpected destructive tornadic scenario that we're dealing with. This could be a stronger tornado that is in progress right now. Not something we were necessarily anticipating to happen here. Now, 3 tornado emergencies we've had on this storm, here just over the last little bit. 2 being issued since we've come on the air here a little while ago. And we didn't have any tornado emergencies when we had the higher risk here going back toward, I'm trying to get my days right here because it's been a crazy period. But going back toward Tuesday and Wednesday, we did have one on Monday, though, in Arkansas. And that was kind of unexpected. It's probably a little more so, though, because we weren't even talking about strong tornadoes being a possibility here, really, in the outlooks, anything like that. So I just hope everybody's staying safe out there, and they got the alert somehow as we're looking toward this area. Again, we're going to check some different modes. We have the Memphis radar pulled up on our other view, and we're just going to do a storm track here on this. So I do have that loaded in now. So let me go ahead and jump over from our one source here. We're going to go to the next source that we have in line. You see our black here in the radar. That's indicative of very large hail potential here. Very large hail potential for sure. And then our tornado threat, maybe 1 or 2 tornadoes on the ground in here. But let's just go ahead and kind of track near where we had to confirm tornado on Highway 210 a few minutes ago. Let me make sure we have their colors coordinated here. Give me just a second. So you have to double check this here. And then here's our storm track on this one, right into Walnut Ridge. So there could be another tornado here. I mean, honestly, there's some circulation here as well, but let's just kind of track it from there. So it could be having something closer to Walnut Ridge here over the next few minutes. You just need to be really taking shelter here. The new tornado emergency being issued downstream here for areas like Bono there, as well as Fontaine. So again, tornado emergency for Bono and Fontaine here in northeastern Arkansas. The box technically includes Jonesboro, but the tornado emergency is more as we get up toward areas around Fontaine and Bono now. But the warning does go for southwestern Greene and central Craighead counties. So I guess you could kind of count Jonesboro in it, and you need to take your tornado precautions. But the greatest danger, the greatest threat here, potential for loss of life is going to be toward Fontaine and Bono here in this area. So again, a tornado emergency now toward the south. Yet another one being issued by the Weather Service. You can see our rotation tracker showing this pretty well, actually, here in a broad spin, at least here in Lawrence County, Arkansas, as we continue to watch this very, very dangerous storm. Again, you see our greens and reds coming together. Some of that's not actual good data, and you actually see the inflow. This is interesting. Now, you can see this off the Memphis site, the inflow coming in. Whether this is tornado debris or not, there may be some of that in there for sure, but that's definitely a classic inflow signature They're in Lawrence County, Arkansas right now, and they could have a very, very strong storm that we're dealing with. So trying to say that hail threat here as well, closer to the north. I'll go ahead and zoom back out right now and just look at some of our different products here again. The latest tornado emergencies in play here for Blackrock and Walnut Ridge, and then that's from the Little Rock office, and then the Memphis office here issuing one for Fontaine and Bono. So very serious situation on our hands here. Going to check some different things. We keep this map up right now as we let people know exactly what's going on here on this Friday night. Not something you're expecting to deal with for sure, but I'm just going to check some information, see if we have any information coming in through Twitter, because it seems like these are more spotter reports. There may be some video out there. I can't actually show any of that on the air, but it would help me kind of guide you guys about what's going on. In fact, we just got a beep here in the chat. They're saying a spotter observed a large wedge tornado on the ground coming into Walnut Ridge. That was at 11 past the hour, so right about now, numerous power flashes. So that really ups my ante, folks. That really does. This could be one of those more violent type tornadoes that we're dealing with. Again, we really need everybody in the weather enterprise to get this messaging out, because this is something where people are really going to be caught off guard, to be quite honest. This was not something that we were anticipating with multiple tornado emergencies or one tornado emergency to be in play, but that's what we're dealing with. We now had 3 tornado emergencies here in play. A very unusual scenario that we're dealing with here to get this storm to have such violent tendencies here. Anomaly here in the weather world for sure. Again, we need everybody taking this seriously. Just checking. I don't see a lot on Twitter. I mean, a lot of people not really anticipating this here. This is not something that we were expecting, to be quite honest. A lot of times they'll come on, national outlets will come on the air here and say something here without warning. Now, this isn't going to hit without warning. The tornado warnings are on play, but there wasn't as much lead up here to this threat. There are good tornado warnings in play, and you got to always take those seriously. But in terms of a big lead up, a lot of times you'll have that, and then the messaging kind of gets lost in there, and there was a good lead up. This is not one of those situations where there was a big lead up to the event. So we need folks to do everything in their power to get people into shelter here in these areas as we're checking the latest information coming on out. So as we're looking toward Lawrence County in Arkansas, you see it looks like the rotation's set up a little bit better on here as we get a little closer toward that Memphis radar right now, looking maybe between Blackrock and College City, but we're so far up on the beams here. Anybody in these boxes here need to be taking their tornado precautions. You got to be doing that. It's an interior room away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Bicycle helmet. Have those shoes on. If the tornado comes and there's debris around, you don't want to cut your feet up afterwards. So that's something you need to do here as well. A very dangerous situation on this Friday night, Easter weekend, when people aren't paying attention, and we have a situation like this to come up on us here. Kind of a nightmare scenario that we're dealing with right now as we're tracking toward these areas. Hopefully it's not as bad as some of the indications lead us to believe here. And the radar is not, I can't go one way or the other on radar. Sometimes you can look at things and realize it's not going to be as bad as some things suggest. I mean, you can kind of see the circulation in this type, but because we're so far up on the radar site here, and the radar site now going between Memphis and Little Rock, going between Springfield there at times as well, we're not going to know exactly how strong the gate is on this because of that. So that's what makes things really dangerous, is getting toward those nocturnal hours here, so making things where you're not going to see anything if a tornado is hitting. So you need to be in your tornado safe area right now. Again, the report still coming in of the tornado being on the ground. You see here all these different icons going back here toward, it looks like Sharp County, and it looks like that line there toward, I'm trying to see what, let me take off our cities real quick here, toward Fulton County here in parts of Arkansas. So Sharp, Fulton County line. That's where we had one of our first reports in of the front of homes damaged and cars destroyed. Cherokee Village, spotter reporting a wedge tornado on the ground there. And Goffo says, hey, I'm moving through Hardy. Then toward and Bolden, spotter reported a tornado on the ground. That was actually near Raven Den. And then another report there of a tornado on the ground west of Blackrock on Lawrence Highway 210. So dangerous situation we're dealing with. got 2 new updates in. The Little Rock office strengthened their polygon down in Memphis. They've given us an update as well. Tornado emergency now, they're kind of updating this is now for Walnut Ridge and Sedgwick, community of Sedgwick there in Arkansas. Not a county in Kansas or something like that, but a community here in Arkansas, Sedgwick there, as well as Walnut Ridge. Under this right now, potentially a matter of life and death. And then as we get here down toward Fontaine and Bono here in the next polygon, that's where the catastrophic damage potential is expected to maximize as well. They're saying moving southeast at 50, report to power flashes in the Walnut Ridge area. They're saying Sedgwick is the next path, or next town in the path of this destructive, potentially deadly tornado. You see it right there. There's Sedgwick. You need to be in the interior room, away from windows right now. Again, so serious of a situation, so somber. Hopefully it's not as bad as things are kind of giving us that feel right now. Just hope people have some method of getting alerts. I know those national emergency alerts that come through on phones have to be really helpful in this situation, at least to get some people inside. As we're now getting reports of hail there, Walnut Ridge. I'm not sure if this is maybe if somebody got a picture of the hail and sent it into the TV station there. It looks like KIT TV. I would think here it must be showing a picture, something like that. Maybe they're on the northern side toward the hail core and they didn't get hit by the tornado, but they're able to show that. So Weather Service in Memphis talking about here now in the chat session, a large and destructive tornado over Walnut Ridge here at the moment, very large hail up to 4 inches as well, and the storm is tracking along the warm front, and that's those type of situations you can have. I know, going back to another tornado a few years ago, a smaller Rushton, Louisiana there, sometimes you have things tracking the wrong areas there, and it just maximizes that threat. And that's what we're seeing here tonight. It looks like as our hail indicator actually showing the 4-inch hail there. Now that's something we don't generally see here in our products. Oh, this is a hail tracker showing 4.37 inches right now, as cars have now been reportedly flipped over on Highway 67 in Walnut Ridge. Just a terrible situation, folks. Let me go back on over right now, checking some more information behind the scenes. I'm going to check our power outage maps here. Give me just a moment. We're on this Friday night with this coverage. I hope people are staying safe here in the natural state as we're getting some very serious reports in here as we're tracking this scenario as it does evolve. Again, reports of cars flipped over Highway 67 and Walnut Ridge, and that means people could be trapped. We don't know for sure, but it leads you to believe we could have that type of situation there in Arkansas right now. Let's go ahead and go back over toward our other source we have here that we can use in severe coverage. It's going to be our poweroutage.us mapping toward Arkansas now. These are generally more rural areas, but we see some outages here as we look towards Sharp County, 1,537 customers in the dark. Fulton County, 705 customers in the dark. So we need folks here taking this seriously on this Friday night. Again, seeing some outages, but I suspect some of that information not necessarily being reported in yet, and some of those customers aren't going to necessarily be tracked here either, just based on the different power grids in use here. Maybe not updated to be able to be tracked like this quite yet, but let's go ahead and go back on over here toward the radar view. Again, we need everybody's help right now to get this message out, and we have a potentially deadly tornado in progress here in northeastern Arkansas. Need everybody in the whole country paying attention to this right now and getting this messaging out, because this is not something that was warned about days and days in advance like our other threats have been, and we're seeing something maximized here that's not good in northeastern Arkansas. So again, we need to go back on over velocity, not giving us the greatest view right now here, but we know there's violent tendency to the storm here in terms of the hail already being reported over 4 inches in diameter. So serious of a situation we're dealing with right now. Again, maybe some debris in there. It's just we're still not at a great spot because the hail and the debris could be mixing together. I mean, let me pop up a rotation tracker maybe. Yeah, we're not going to really be able to see it great still, but that makes the things just even more kind of nerve-wracking really for everybody in the meteorology enterprise right now, because we're not actually able to get a good scan here of if the circulation here is producing the most violent type of winds or not. But nonetheless, there's been many reports here of tornadic activity on the ground, a tornado doing damage, maybe 2 tornadoes at one point, maybe a twin tornado scenario. Maybe something like what we saw toward Pilgrim, Nebraska several years ago. It seemed like hopefully that's not the case, but you never know. I mean, we're in some more serious type of scenarios that we're having to talk about right now in regards to this. Again, you didn't miss anything. We did not expect this yesterday. A threat to maximize to this catastrophic damage potential, like what we're seeing. I doubt anybody really expected this. I mean, to have the strong, the violent type tornado threat, the parameters aren't really there, but we're just on the boundary. And occasionally you'll have just worst case scenarios occur when a storm's on a boundary like this. And that's what is happening right now here in northeastern Arkansas. I mean, watching this here north of Jonesboro, if you're wondering where we're south of the Boot Hill. Right now in north of Memphis. Memphis office taking over as the storm moves in to the next polygon here down the line. Again, we have not had many tornado emergencies all year, I believe, and I'll double check it. Actually, I have a list I can check here behind the scenes. May not have these on it, but I can check back. I believe these might be our 3rd, 4th, and 5th tornado emergencies of the year that we've just had issued here over the last little bit. But let me double check my list here that I have on hand, just to kind of double check what I'm thinking here, because it's been a pretty active severe weather season, but haven't had that many tornado emergencies. I know we had a whole bunch of tornado emergencies excuse me, toward parts of Kentucky there that December night there when we had the Mayfield tornado, but since then we haven't had very many. But yeah, we had a South Carolina tornado emergency, and then we had a tornado emergency toward the Little Rock area back on Monday, and now tonight we've had 3 different tornado emergencies. We had many tornado emergencies going back to that night in Kentucky in late December. I mean, maybe about 10 of them, something like that. But this is a very potent storm. A violent type tornado could still be in progress. It could have touched down here. The radar coverage is not the best here. It's getting a little bit better. We're down to about 6,000 feet on it, but that generally means you're getting toward an area here that's actually a little bit closer to more population centers when you're closer down on the radar beam. That's not always the case, but sometimes that indicates that here. And we're dealing with a nasty scenario right now for sure. So we hope everybody is taking those tornado precautions, the tornado emergency still continuing for Walnut Ridge and Sedgwick here, and then toward the south and east for areas there around Fontaine and Bono. So again, this is in Arkansas. It's the only tornado warning storm. We only have one other thunderstorm warning. That's toward Ozark County in Missouri, right on the border there. You see some significant weather advisories. I'll take those off for now. But we have tornado emergencies in play, 2 different polygons for this storm right now. One from the Little Rock office, one from the Memphis office here. And this is in the Jonesboro television market. Northeastern Arkansas, really what is referred to, I mean, they're the dominant station there, KIT Channel 8, NBC, ABC, it's Region 8 really is what everybody refers to this as there, because they're such a station that everybody tunes to for these type of threats when there's severe weather, and now 3 tornado emergencies here over the last little bit. So we've kind of transitioned. We were talking about more northern Arkansas a little while ago. That's kind of where it was, but now it's more northeastern Arkansas. That's definitely what you would classify this as at this point. I would say. So I know just looking back at some different things, it kind of says eastern Arkansas, but again, I would call it northeastern Arkansas here, where we're tracking this threat right now with the tornado emergencies in play. Again, the radar coverage is not necessarily good enough for us to kind of say, well, it's weakening, the circulation's broadening out, and things here might be improving, because the radar coverage just hadn't been telling the story here, because we had to look too high up at the beam. I mean, these hail numbers here are just incredible. Let me check our other source. I haven't checked this in a while, because it sometimes gives us a better and more accurate metric on this storm. But let's go ahead and zoom back on over here again. This is live on a Friday night, April 15th. This is not from Monday. This is not from earlier in the week. If you're watching on Friday night, this is current. This was not something that was really anticipated. We were expecting some stronger severe storms to develop here, but nothing to reach a national perspective and a national level concern like this has. So We want you to know this is happening at 8:25 Central Time on a Friday night here toward northern Arkansas. This is the hail path that last hour or so. When you get into purples, we're talking about hail over at least 2 inches in diameter, but some of these areas have had hail larger than that. You see, they're really underdoing it up there because of that lack of lower scanning of the Doppler. Let me take off our tornado emergency thing real quick here. Let me go ahead and take that on off. Again, we're not having an expectation of having to come on here for any type of threat like this, but this has materialized very unexpectedly. I mean, honestly, it's one of the more unexpected stretches here of tornado emergencies I've seen in the last 15 years since I've really been following stuff like this. So, I mean, this is very rare to see something like this, and hopefully it's not as bad as some indications lead us to believe, because we're not getting the lower radar scans there on the velocities. But this is the hail up here to the north and west of Cherokee Village. You see Cherokee Village, Williford, Raven Den, Embolden, Blackrock, Walnut Ridge, and hail tracker showing it about the worst it's been. But again, it could just be because we're closer down at this point. But the rotation tracker has kind of been hit and miss here because of that lack of coverage here. But you can kind of see where we've had to spin, where that tornado threat has been going. I mean, we've been tracking a tornado on the ground here for probably about an hour now. Again, there's a report of a wedge tornado there toward the community of Hardy in Sharp County, Arkansas, at about 7:33 or not, 8:26 Central Time. This is nowhere near North Florida or South Georgia, but an unexpected national situation has arisen here with our 3rd, 4th, and 5th tornado emergencies of the year being issued by the National Weather Service offices here tonight. We're now getting reports here, the RDOT cams on I-55 there. I think that's what they're talking about at Jonesboro. Maybe I-555, I'm not sure the roads there, but so in a large wall cloud nearing Bono and Jonesboro, that could actually could have something in there that is producing the destruction. Could be tornadic in nature. I'm not sure exactly what they're looking at right now. I might try to pull it up actually here. We haven't really pulled up RDOT cameras on here, but they are government cameras, so we can pull those up here and show them to you. But again, we'll go ahead and zoom back on up those transportation cameras I'm talking about. But as I go ahead and zoom back on out here, again, I'm tracking this scenario. Confirmed large and destructive tornado on the ground here, according to the Memphis office, at 8:25 Central Time. This was located over Fontaine, or near the Ryerson State Park area, moving southeast at about 45 miles an hour. Cars have been flipped over on Highway 67 in Walnut Ridge there. Again, this is a life-threatening situation. That's what the Weather Service is calling this right now. And they're saying this could be a deadly tornado. So, again, not what you want to hear. Not what you want to hear at all. Tornado emergency continuing for Fontaine and Bono right now. I'm going to see what we can find on the RDOT cameras as we continue this coverage. Let me see what we got here. Large hail at Bono now being reported from a Jonesboro TV storm spotter. So, that's the information we're getting in right now. So, let me see what we got here as I look at some of our information. Just trying to see what is happening here. Just trying to make sure we kind of get, I'm just trying to make sure we're able to use these cameras, to be honest. Just want to make sure what is going on here. Again, we generally don't use these. They're saying that display of any camera image is allowed. So let me go ahead and go on over. There's a lot of other disclaimers in there, but just want to make sure we're able to use these on the air here. If there's anything that we catch. So, again, just trying to give you guys the latest information on this potentially life-threatening weather situation that we're dealing with right now. So, again, just checking into Ward, Arkansas here. There may not be enough to really show on the air here at this point. It's really hard to get a good look at things. It seems like we're just getting an area with some cameras out. So, I think what we'll do, if I see something, I'll pop it up. Let me just kind of... I'm just looking at the camera behind the scenes right now. Right now we're just seeing a lot of lightning. So if we have an active tornado in progress and I see it, then we'll go over to this. But it's nighttime now, so might not really even be able to see it here as we're looking toward these areas. So just trying to get the best view I can here. Just a lot of lightning, though. That's something you got to be mindful of here toward these areas. Just trying to get an idea of what's going on here at this point. So we'll keep our eyes on some of that. But you see the one box just went away, but the other box out of the Memphis office still going for parts of Craighead and Greene counties here. until about 8:45 Central Time. Hopefully the threat will start to wind down eventually here, but a very unique situation. This is the only warning. We don't have any other flash flood or tornado or thunderstorm warnings in play at all. This is tornado emergency, the highest level of tornado warning that you'll get here from the Weather Service. That's what we have right now, and you see we have some very bright colors and velocity still. Winds here, one way showing up at a higher level. This is off Little Rock that I just went to. I need to go back to Memphis. This is higher up now, but it's showing winds to about 95 miles an hour one way there. I'm going to see what our other radar is showing, because this is now the better radar to use for sure, as we're quite a bit lower down to the surface here, and still kind of hard to discern exactly where something is. And maybe, I think we might have a little something here, so let me go ahead and pop it on up here right now. Let me go ahead and pop this on up. We got our one view, and then we have our analyst view here. You see our rotation right in here. There may be something there, not necessarily messing up with debris though, but you see that could be an area where we have the tornado right there. Could be something further down toward the south though, as well as a report of, it looks like ping pong ball size hail to golf ball size hail there in the community of Laredo there in Arkansas. That's 11 miles southwest of Paragould. So again, a very dangerous situation right here in Arkansas, with multiple tornado emergencies having to be issued. Hopefully the threat will start to drop here at some point, but what we're going to do, take a quick break. Be back in about 2.5 minutes with more information, trying to gather the latest details on a very unusual scenario that we're dealing with here from the national perspective. Back with you now here in the Weather Center, continuing the coverage, continuing to get information in. Very dangerous, discrete storm we're dealing with, where that catastrophic damage potential is there. Again, it's the only warning of any kind. No other tornado warnings, flash flood warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings. We just have the tornado warning, which is a tornado emergency in play here this storm, riding along a boundary, and that's always dangerous. We've seen it before here in the Weather Enterprise, where we have this rogue storms being problems here going back toward the Ruston tornado in Louisiana there, back just a few years ago, and then going back further, that Atlanta tornado hit the Georgia Dome on a Friday night. That was before a big outbreak of severe weather. That was a low risk that night, though, and now this was a low risk, and we've seen something happen. And in fact, I have it up on our other system now. This is going to show how the winds are in different directions right here. This will really kind of help us out. So let me go ahead and show you this. You see our winds, they're coming in from the south here as we're looking toward Jonesboro, but then as you look up toward Pocahontas, Corning there, you see the winds there. Instead, they shift direction. They're coming from the north and maybe a little bit northeast even. That's where the boundary is, right where this storm is, and that's always has that potential to be problematic here, and that's what we're seeing right now here in parts of Arkansas with this storm right in the boundary, with a tornado emergency here in play until looks like 8:45 Central Time. On this is 8:36 Central Time. Right now it's 9:36 in the east. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud, continuing to follow this tornado emergency on Twitter at Cloud Casey, Facebook Casey Cloud WX. Facebook, you can get it Cloud's Weather there as well, and then YouTube, search for me, meteorologist Casey Cloud, and then Twitch, meteorologist Casey Cloud there as well. So on many platforms to try to keep you, your friends, and your family safe. It's our policy to come on. We're not expecting to have to come on for a situation like this, to be quite honest here. This rogue storm evolving like it has, and it's been a tornado producer for about an hour or so now, and at times maybe producing a destructive tornado here as we continue to track a tornado emergency here for areas around Fontaine and Bono. So let's get back in. New tornado warning, and that's a better sign. Not good that we have a new tornado warning in general, but the reason it's a good sign is it's now a regular polygon. So that means it's not even being confirmed now by spotters. And for them to issue that, I would think is a good sign here, and that there's nothing that's actually reaching the surface anymore at the present time. Doesn't mean it couldn't reach the surface again. These storms can recycle on us. So until the tornado emergency goes away, I'm going to stay with you here. And of course, those local affiliates cover those regular tornado warning situations. But we're going to stick with you till the tornado emergency goes away. But that new tornado warning for southwestern Greene, eastern Craighead, northeastern Poinsett, and west central Mississippi counties in eastern Arkansas goes until 9 o'clock. At 8:35, I said that thunderstorm there capable of producing a tornado was located near the Lake Frierson State Park area. They're saying severe thunderstorm producing a tornado, but it's still as if it's more of a radar indication here in this new red box that came out here. It's moving southeast at 50. Gulf Falls has hail reported with the storm 11 miles southwest of Paragould here. So we're going to continue to watch it, continue to track the situation here. You can see we're looking right now with some pretty strong shear showing up here with this on our shear rate products. So have to watch this very carefully. Let me go ahead and go back on over. Don't see much energy here, which is very unusual to have a tornado emergency situation. We're not seeing much of that. And then you see our significant tornado parameter very low as well. But the storm is able to ride along the boundary. And sometimes it doesn't matter what these other metrics show when a storm's riding along the boundary like this. As we're getting a report in, ping pong ball size hail from Grant County, Arkansas, a little while ago. So again, the tornado emergency is still in play right now. Let's get back on over here, other viewpoint, because things I know in Little Rock's radar is kind of showing an odd perspective. Let's see what we have for the Memphis site, because that's going to be a closer view now. We're looking down here only about 4,500 feet, so that's a lot better than we were looking earlier. But again, when you get those lower views, that sometimes means, and in this case, generally it does. Granted, we've had quite a few towns potentially hit, but this generally means you have a better viewpoint, but it means you're closer to more population centers. As you see, our TVS signature showing up here. Doesn't look like anything extremely tight, but with the history of this storm, and we're not getting the best radar coverage, you just don't want to take any chances here. In a scenario like this here, as we're looking closer toward Brooklyn there in Craighead County, Arkansas, and maybe even some rotation further up there toward Greene County, Arkansas as well here. It's possible we have a couple different areas of rotation. Like earlier we had a report maybe of 2 tornadoes on the ground there. So you just never know what's happening at this point as we continue to track things. We do know there's been a large hail though out of this storm, very large hail, and that's closer, it looks like, toward areas here north of Brooklyn there in Arkansas. So continuing to watch this situation, a very unusual one that we're dealing with right now here in northeastern Arkansas. Again, tornado emergency in play for another 5 minutes or so. But the new tornado warning is not near as aggressive as the standard tornado warning. So maybe not as serious a situation as we're dealing with now as maybe we were earlier on. So if we get information in here over the next few minutes that the tornado emergency goes away here, then we'll wrap it up. But of course, it's important to watch those local affiliates as it's ultimately moving more into where the Memphis market area here, the TV market area here as we go downstream. Still right now, though, more obviously, as I said, toward areas there around Craighead County, toward the Jonesboro market at this point, though. Sometimes they overlap in there a little bit too. But again, we're continuing to watch things very carefully. We're continuing to track things here as we get closer toward Brookland there, and maybe not too far away from Paragould with a couple different circulations. You still need to take your tornado precautions no matter what here. If you're in either one of these boxes, and as we could still have a tornado underground doing damage, or maybe even a couple of them like we've talked about. But the tornado emergency, the last update we got in on that was about 14 minutes ago, and included Fontaine and Bono there. It's past Bono there, and now Fontaine. I don't have it on this map level here, but hopefully that threat is starting to dwindle in terms of the circulation here. But can't let your guard down. Sometimes you'll see things weakening off, then re-strengthen again. You just got to remain on guard here in the natural state. Eventually, this will be moving toward Tennessee, and there is a tornado watch here in play until about, it looks like, midnight local time. So let me go ahead and go back on over. That's the yellow box. You have your pink box here. We don't have any other storms really in the vicinity that are severe in nature. Just the one. We have the two tornado warnings, the tornado emergency and then the regular tornado warning. I'm going to take off the tips for now of the tornado emergencies. I suspect we're not going to get a new one of those issued here in the next few moments at least. I mean, if something ramps back up, of course, they could issue one again. But let me go ahead and go back on over here. Hopefully this doesn't continue to really right along the boundary, but it might. We'll just have to continue to watch the situation that we're dealing with here toward northeastern Arkansas. So again, you see our hail path tracker. That gives you an idea of where the storm is headed and where the storm is headed over the next little bit as well. Eventually into toward western Tennessee here on this Friday night. So on this Easter weekend, as we go ahead and go back on over right now, you see our risk here, a slight risk going back to Oklahoma. Going here across that region, the tornado threat still in play, even off toward areas like, Tulsa's right on the edge of this for later, Muskogee, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, as we saw that threat there as the parameters will still kind of try to be in play here with the boundary. Again, a unique situation, but report it looks like pea-sized hail at Gibson, Tennessee, and Gibson County from amateur radio. That's further off toward the east here. So some other storms that are below severe limits, but still strong in nature here. But we're just waiting for the official tornado emergency to go away. Still have a tornado warning for parts of Craighead, Greene, Mississippi, and Poinsett there counties. That's going to go till 9 o'clock Central Time here in this area. As we go ahead and look at some other things, I want to pull up satellite here. An interesting complex on the infrared viewpoint here for sure. And then our parameters more to the south. But when you have things right along the boundary like this, that's going to be a problem. And that's what we're seeing here tonight. A unique situation for sure that is pretty rare to see. But we're seeing it in progress here. Again, hopefully we don't have a tornado on the ground right now. The hail threat seems to have dropped some, but still almost 2 inches according to radar at its lower level here. So now reports of extremely heavy marble or bigger hail at the Greene Emergency Operations Center there at Highway 49, the bypass in Paragould. So let's go up here. That's on the edge of this, and they might be closer into some of these brighter reflectivity color. This could be a couple minutes behind, but again, we're going to continue to watch this as it does move on off toward the south and east here at about, it looks like 50 miles an hour or so. So this is the south of the Missouri boot here, if you guys are wondering where we're looking right now. Again, there's your rotation tractor. You can see it over the last hour. The radar coverage not showing that as well, maybe with that being limited. It didn't show up as well on that, but we've seen it on different modes here. That's some heavy rain with it, but that's not a big threat to hail. And then obviously the tornado. Those are the biggest threats with the tornado. Well, obviously, if you're hit by that, that's your biggest concern. So the tornado emergency polygon's gone away. This is a standard tornado warning. Still a big deal because it has a history of producing a dangerous tornado out toward the north and west. But I advise you to watch those local affiliates as we look ahead. Real quick, I am going to pull up our severe weather mapping here for tomorrow for our local area, North Florida and South Georgia, just because we really haven't shown that to you. There is a small risk in play. Shouldn't have anything like this, but this wasn't anticipated. But we're not really expecting to have that type of shear to have a tornadic development here to this level at least and toward our area tomorrow for sure. So we're going to go ahead and get that map ready here. It's going to take us about 30 seconds or so because our systems are working hard here. They've been working hard for a while. We thought we had kind of dropped that highest level of concern. Our logo's back blue, but this was a one-off situation that turned very violent, it seems, based on what we've seen on some of our different reports here. Be interesting to see what the local reporters find out in the field here. Again, an unexpected situation, as meteorologists can sometimes say. You always have to expect the unexpected, and that's what we've had to deal with here tonight for sure. So let me go ahead and go back on over here towards some of our other viewpoints. And I'm going to go ahead and get our day 2 outlook in here for tomorrow. Now, I just want to make sure everybody kind of knows what's happening here. I don't want you guys caught off guard as we're looking ahead in toward the timeline. So this is going to be day 2. Shouldn't have anything like this here in our area, but this is just for wind and hail. But there's a look here. It's a marginal 1 out of 5 risk. And then as we get on over now toward your day 3 outlook, you see a risk toward the west. There toward the Big Bend, toward southwest, south central Georgia. Of course, some of these could be changed. Some of them could be where we have a situation where maybe a slight risk has to be added into one of these areas. So we'll continue to watch that. We'll continue to refine the latest information that comes on out here from the Storm Prediction Center, from the different models, and bring you the latest as needed from that local perspective. So that's your Sunday risk area for now. Easter Sunday, it's a low risk, but again, not zero. And I've seen tonight risks that aren't zero. They still merit at least watching, keeping the thread in the back of your mind. So there's your Saturday risk one more time there. Your Easter weekend Saturday risk there. We'll continue to watch that. Let me get back to the other viewpoint and leave you with this right now, though. As we get back toward the national perspective, a regular tornado warning, no longer the tornado emergency, but could still re-strengthen. Still saw maybe 2 inch hail there. And we've had reports toward Paragould of some very dangerous hail potential there. The Green Emergency Operations Center, extremely heavy marble or bigger hail falling there at the Highway 49 bypass area. So tornado warning continuing for parts of Craighead, Greene, Mississippi, and Poinsett counties there. Poinsett County, and not 100% certain that pronunciation. I think I got it right there, Poinsett. But the latest update coming in is just a radar indicated tornado warning for a potential tornado near Brooklyn. But you still got to take that seriously because of the history that this storm has had with it. And then also, we're talking about hail maybe upwards of 2.5 inches in diameter, and that can obviously cause big issues. So stay safe out there. We'll keep you advised as necessary on all the different platforms: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Have a great night if you can.